Rethinking the legacy of one of the most revered figures in California history, the Sierra Club is directly calling out the questionable past of its famous founder. Good evening, I'm Veronica Dela Cruz.
I'm Alan Martin. KPI X-Files' Wilson Walker has details on the complicated legacy of John Muir. Wilson?
Yeah, Alan, I'm here at the John Muir National Historic Site in Martinez. The house up on the hill is where he spent about the last 25 years of his life. This is where he lived when he founded the Sierra Club. And today, that organization is calling him out for racism.
You know, when we call this with this blog pulling down our monuments, we're not trying to erase history. We're trying to learn from it. No one is going to take out the legacy that John Muir left us with.
Sierra Club President Ramon Cruz says no organization is exempt from rethinking its history of race relations. So after 128 years, the club is rethinking John Muir, a man who has quietly bothered historians and environmentalists for some time.
I've taught John Muir for years, and every time you read John Muir, the problems that have come up now are readily apparent. I mean, John Muir shared the racial attitudes of his time. He wasn't an Indian hater, but he certainly thought Indian peoples were inferior.
Stanford history professor Richard White says Muir's conservation legacy isn't going anywhere, but his complexities speak to a more contemporary problem for the environmental movement.
John Muir has been turned into an environmental saint. And one of the real problems environmentalism has had for a very long time is that it is seen as unsympathetic to non-whites. It's been seen as a white problem. And that goes back a long way, and that also takes us back to John Muir.
Muir's name is almost synonymous with the Northern California landscape and our appreciation of it.
It's beautiful here. We couldn't be more grateful to have it.
The Sierra Club says it does not intend to disavow Muir, just acknowledge that the man's perspective changed over the course of his life, not unlike the organization he founded.
Young John Muir was not certainly the John Muir in his later writings. If we want to be part of a movement that centers justice and equity, then we need to be sure that we come to terms with our past.
You know, it's pretty impressive, Wilson, that the Sierra Club, his organization, called out its founder, John Muir. But you're telling me that he's not the only one that they were calling out today?
Yeah, they really spoke to sort of a range of issues at the start, at the inception of the Sierra Club. A number of the other founders had direct links to slavery, maybe perhaps more egregious sort of connections than Muir's early writings about native, I mean, not to qualify anything, but direct slave owners. They really called those folks out. Some of those individuals have actually had their names removed from lodges in Yosemite over the past couple of years. So this is an ongoing conversation. And the president of the Sierra Club today told me that. He said, look, this is just part of the conversation of readdressing the range of things that come with people from that era of our country's history. Again, he said not to erase Muir, but to address him in his totality, which of course includes the complexities of his writings about the people who inhabited those lands before he ever laid eyes on them.
Absolutely. Sainthood, be it environmentalism or religion, very complicated subject indeed.
We have seen that, yes, we have.
All right, Wilson, thanks so much.